Hi, mystery writers. Welcome to Write a Killer Mystery, where we learn to make a good mystery great. I'm Sarah Altair, and today we're going to talk about how to show your sleuth's vulnerabilities, because without those flaws and weaknesses, your character comes out one-dimensional. We'll talk a little bit about that later. First, I want to thank my patrons on Patreon for their continued support. And if you'd like to support these videos and my writing, there's a link in the description below. I'd love to see you. I have special videos and perks for patrons. All right, so you want to make your sleuth detective three-dimensional. Um, and those vulnerabilities are how your reader connects with them and sees them as a human being. Of course, you want your sleuth to be wise and skilled and able to catch that villain, but you want to expand their character with their vulnerabilities. Nobody is perfect, and your readers aren't perfect, and they understand flaws. When your main character has soft spots and vulnerabilities, they feel human. And your character's humanity resonates with your reader and connects them to your story. And I said it before, mystery readers come for the plot and they stay for the character. So, why are vulnerabilities important to your story? Vulnerabilities deepen your character. Those weaknesses also help you create tension for the story. Tension builds when your character faces a conflict and your reader does not know the outcome. And those vulnerabilities, those weak spots, are perfect for creating that tension. When a conflict arises from a vulnerability, the results can devastate your protagonist. And those results produce new obstacles to overcome just because they have that vulnerability. And those new obstacles raise the tension, and your reader sees the weakness and questions how on earth your protagonist is going to survive. So, how do you do that? How do you show those vulnerabilities without telling them? This is something that's really important. Telling your reader that your protagonist can lose his temper if his buttons are pushed isn't the same as showing how that happens. And just by the very showing, you don't have to tell them anything. They will understand. And so through action, reflection, dialogue, you can portray your protagonist's weaknesses. And although you should aim to do this whenever you want to illustrate a weakness, there are 4 key scenes that you can use that will help you portray your character's flaws and weaknesses. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about those key scenes where you can emphasize those vulnerabilities. So one quick tip: before you write the scene that's going to display a vulnerability or a couple of vulnerabilities, write down which vulnerabilities you want to display in that scene, and that'll help you keep on track as you write the scene. Because before you write the scene, you'll know what characteristics you want to reveal. Uncontrolled anger, arrogance, gruff behavior, unable to see how others see them, etc. So you want to write the scene to reveal that flawed trait, wherever it is. Okay, so the first kind of scene is the action scene to help you show your character's vulnerability. The key in the action scene is to set it up so it reveals your character by pitting them against a problem. And your character must take action or decide not to take action. And remember, a dialogue is action, all right? So your character's action or inaction reveals their character. Just by their very doing or not doing, they reveal their character. Plus, your reader learns about your character's nature by the choices and the actions that your character takes. So, actions your character does not take are just as important, because your reader may say, well, why didn't he just open the door or whatever it is that in that situation? So, your character not taking a particular action is just as important in revealing those vulnerabilities. So here's some examples. If they're meticulous and plan everything out, but they have trouble actually taking action, all right? Or just the opposite, they quick to take action without thinking about what the consequences are going to be. And does this lead to further problems? And of course, you want it to lead to further problems in your story. For example, the one who plans and plans, they may take too long to plan it out and miss the important thing they need to do. Another thing that characters can do is make the same mistake. So in one scene, they make that mistake and it causes problems. And further on, they make the same mistake and it causes further problems. So just think about how your character's vulnerabilities are going to result in some kind of action, or in this case, inaction is action because they're not doing what they need to do. All right. And then there's what I call the quick blink scene. It's like a paragraph. It's not even really a scene, but it's a paragraph that demonstrates your character's vulnerabilities really quickly. It's short, and your reader will subconsciously take in what you show in one paragraph. You show your reader a specific core character trait, but you do it in a blink. Your reader won't notice how you've revealed your character's inner core. So to create this paragraph, you need one or two character flaws you want to divulge, and then show your character in action, dialogue is action, to reveal that fear or vulnerability, and that's it. One paragraph plants the seed in your reader's mind. This is really great at the beginning of your story when you're showing them in this quick paragraph one of their weaknesses, flaws, vulnerabilities, and then just move on with the story. But you've planted that seed in your reader's mind. So when it comes up later, it's not unforeseen. All right. All right. The next scene is the vulnerability scene. And this is a scene you not only set up the vulnerability, but you reveal the consequences of that flaw or weakness. So this can be a much bigger scene, just the opposite of the blink paragraph. This is a scene where you're really going to highlight your character's vulnerability, and in this scene you're setting up for consequences that cause complications. And this is great for the entire middle of your novel where you want complications and you need things to go awry in your story. And the consequences don't have to be big. In fact, having the consequences seem everyday or normal, quote unquote, helps your reader relate to that character. So, say your protagonist isn't a morning person. They really need that cup of coffee and a few moments of reflection before they actually start their day. But before they have that cup of coffee, uh, there's an important interruption. There's a phone call or a knock on the door, and it forces them to be on the job even though they don't want to be, because they really want that cup of coffee first. Excuse me. All right, and then the last scene is the big deal scene. So in this scene, you give your character an important loss, and it's because of their vulnerability. Um, this is one of the ways you're showing that your sleuth is definitely not perfect. Uh, and you'll add tension to the story and build rapport with your reader. Your goal as a writer is to create a character with positive and negative traits, and you do this in the big scene. Um, you give your sleuth what is an unimportant loss. It's a big deal to them. It's not a big deal to you or me or the reader. All right, and it's out of proportion. Um, so, for example, say they have a Harley Pan American sports motorcycle and it gets a scratch. All right, and that scratch sends them into a rage. They just blow up. But it's really out of proportion because this is a sports cycle. It's built to go both on road and off road, and it's quite likely it's going to get a scratch. So the reaction is out of proportion to the event. Your same sleuth with Harley Pan America may look at a ravaged corpse and stay composed. They don't get upset. Um, so you're showing how they can go off over something that doesn't seem big. All right, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. So what you want to do is you want to show those flaws to your reader, because this is what is developing that connection to your protagonist, showing your sleuth as not perfect. And your goal as a writer is to create a character with positive and negative traits, and then you have to show those traits in your story. The scope of your character's personality makes them relatable to your reader. And even if your reader doesn't like the flaws, all right, they understand your character's humanity. So don't be afraid to put in a flaw that isn't very likable, even though the rest of your character is likable and they're skilled and they know what they're doing. Because those flaws help your readers relate to your character. So then, if you're ready to write your mystery, you can learn how to go from story idea to the end with Write a Killer Mystery online course just for mystery writers, and the link is in the description below. Also, I want to let you know that next Saturday, January 8th, I'm going to be teaching a course, mystery characters, who they are and how they work in your story. And we're going to be doing some writing exercises, and we're going to go through a lot of characters. Each exercise is going to be different because each character in your mystery fits in a different way. So we're going to look at your detective, of course. We're going to look at the victim. We're going to look at the villain. We're going to look at the suspects. And we're also going to look at the supporting characters and see how to fit them all into your mystery. So there's a link to register in the description below, and I'd love to see you there. And if you show up, I hope you'll let me know that you heard about it here on write a killer mystery. All right, that's it for today, and I will see you next time.